Hi, I'm Nigel, National Account Manager for MT Finance.
And I'm Alex, the BDM for mortgages here at MT Finance.
And today we are just going to have a chat about our proposition and where we are seeing that uplift currently within our products. And I think the first place to start there would be on our HMOs.
No question.
I've seen a huge uplift regards to inquiries. Maybe you can just talk about where you're seeing that uplift.
Absolutely.
And why you think that those brokers are using this in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've always offered the HMO offering since we started, but we've really put a lot of focus on it in the past few months, and I think that's where that growth, exactly like you're mentioning, is coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that 80% small HMO product for about a year now.
Okay.
About a year. But it's only really gained traction in the last few months, and we're seeing quite a bit more. I mean, 80% on an HMO. Any type of HMO, that's already amazing.
Absolutely.
So we also have that large HMO product too, which we're now pushing up to 80%. So we're seeing a lot more inquiries on that, naturally speaking, right? Up to 8-bed HMO, 80% LTV net with fees on top. I mean,
that's insane.
That's insane. Call it what it is.
Because typically in that space also, it comes down to the market value, right?
Yep.
And our current market, if I'm correct, our valuation, our minimum valuation on an HMO is 150,000 in London and the southeast.
100%.
But it's 100,000 everywhere else, which then when you're looking at 80% within that space,
that matters.
That really matters.
Really matters.
Plus, when you're looking at how we stress, because we stress on a 5-year fix 125%. So the market in general, as most will know, stress are either 130 or even up to 180%. So if we're only stressing at 125, it means more are fitting with us and they're getting larger amounts. And when you're talking up to 80%, it's a game changer.
Especially on those larger deals too, right? I mean, when the property value is worth what, 2-3 million, right? The rental can only go up so much, right?
Correct.
At the end of the day, you're not going to be getting 10,000, 15,000 pounds in rental. So having that 125% stress allows us to be able to lend 80% where other lenders might not be able to lend 70 due to stress accommodations. So no, I mean, that has probably been one of the best changes that we've had on the HMO front. And obviously the limited edition HMO product we did for a while, maybe it's still ongoing, but that limited edition product was great, where we were matching the complex HMOs the same way as the simple HMOs. I mean, that is something we haven't done in 2 or 3 years, really a recent change that we've done that's just ignited us within the HMO community, I think.
100%. I think there's also that clarification out there regards to what we treat as a small HMO and as a large HMO, or a property that we call as complex HMO. Maybe we can just cover off that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so for us, the way we look at it, we call it small and large, but I think the easier way to think about it is how complex the structure is.
I agree.
So the easiest test that I always do is how many kitchens are in there. If there's one kitchen, no kitchenettes, 6 bedrooms or below, small HMO every day of the week. Even if it's fully converted with en-suites, anything like that in there, so long as there's no kitchenettes, only one kitchen, we can put that on our small HMO product, which is typically a bit cheaper, still up to that 80%, lovely offering there. What we call complex is more than one kitchen, so 2 kitchens in the security, or kitchenettes in every room, or even some of the rooms, like some of them are basically studios kind of thing.
Correct.
At that point, we see it as a fully configured HMO, and we can do those up to 15 beds, so no concerns.
And I think what we're seeing more of those, because let's be honest, the market is going that way. The day of having an HMO where you put a lock on the door and you call that a new bedroom are long gone. These are highly converted properties, high spec, or actually uniform spec, I would say. If you're a professional landlord, you're pretty much kitting those properties out 100%. Exactly the same, and you've got them on a conveyor belt. You're buying the property, you often buy a bridge, you're converting it, and then you're looking for the exit. So the fact that we can go up to 80%
100%
is absolutely a game changer.
And the best part about exactly that structure you're mentioning too is, and I'm sure you're seeing this as well on your side, being able to exit within 6 months at the uplifted value, right? So they buy it on that bridge at an auction or what have you, they do the works, they're already ready to go. They already have the planning in place, they're ready to go, or they convert it under a PD or what have you, and all of a sudden they're done within 2 months. Everything went according to plan, which doesn't happen often. But when it does, you're like, okay, let's get this case moving. We can exit that within 6 months at the uplifted value. Which,
and what I love about that product is that, or what we're able to do there, I call it bridge to let in many ways, because it's actually a standard bridge to let. However, what that allows you to do is that as long as we can see a TR1 that evidences the property, the value when they purchased it, and we see a schedule of works to highlight what the works were carried out within that property, that's the minimum we need to then go on that uplifted value, which is a game changer.
But it's also the maximum what we need, which I love. I mean, we truly keep those document requirements to minimum. The amount of times, especially because with all these new HMO inquiries, I'm getting, do you need evidence of this?
Yep.
No?
No.
I mean, genuinely, we truly go by the mentality of, like, to the point where I'm just like, no, why would I need that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Since joining, a lot of people come to me and go, would I look at a first-time landlord for an HMO? And historically, we'd say no to that.
I wouldn't even consider it.
Where recently we've made that change that allows us to have a small HMO, which, if I'm honest, why would you even attempt to have a large HMO if you've got no experience? Correct. So a first-time landlord with us, if I'm correct, can take a small HMO.
Up to 80% as well, because we don't have any LTV restrictions on first-time buyer, first-time landlords.
There's very, very limited appetite in the marketplace, but actually what you are seeing is that mum and dad may have a portfolio in a limited company, but actually son or daughter, they want to expand their portfolio for them. So our minimum age at 21 is implying that actually you could take out in a limited company or an SPV, a first-time landlord could take out an HMO with us at 80%, which I think is a game changer.
All day.
The other thing that comes up quite a bit is why we price the way we price. And I say we're fairly aggressive within that. I always look at us and say we're pretty much in the top quartile when it comes to rate. However, we're not a rate-focused lender because we allow the client to have some credit blips. So we
I think some is a bit of an understatement.
But we also allow that still regards to a first-time landlord could have a tier 1 product with us that actually allows them to have had a blip on their county court judgments, defaults, or if they've got any arrears on their unsecured.
100%.
So I think that's a game changer.
Absolutely.
I think that allows us to have that flexibility hugely within the market.
Yeah.
One question I do get asked is it an HMO or is it a multi-unit freehold block?
Yes.
And I think that's, again, where we probably need a bit of clarification in the market to say, actually, an HMO or a multi-unit freehold block. And the easiest way for me to describe it, a multi-unit freehold block, is that if it doesn't have any shared communal areas and it is a standalone flat within a block, then from our perspective, that's multi-unit freehold block.
Yeah, everything's self-contained, individual access utilities. At that point, we do go off that basis, we basically just look at it at studios, but what we can do, which we've actually seen the MUFB product get quite attractive recently because of this, especially on the small MUFB sides where we go up to 4 units. We're seeing each of those units might be comprised of 3 or 4 bed HMOs, right? And we can just lump it all under one product, keep it easy, no splitting leaseholds, anything like that, just all one easy done.
Which again is a game changer, because often others will ask for the split. The other thing that we are seeing, and you know this as much as I do, is on the semi-commercial. So you have either a semi-commercial where we've got an HMO on the back of the commercial unit, or they're on separate titles and we've got an HMO unit on top of any form of commercial unit downstairs.
Retail shop, office, what have you.
And I think that brings us back into the fact that actually we're so flexible within that space, because for us, it doesn't really matter what that commercial unit is.
No.
It's all the ones
stuff you always see on a VAL report where it says not suitable for lending purposes, all that stuff.
From our perspective, we're comfortable with that as long as we get good demand
100%.
regards to the valuation. But my counter argument is that is if it's already being rented out, then the likelihood we should have a strong valuation reback.
Exactly.
So if the property's never been rented out and it's going again, then there could be a slight challenge. However, in certain areas, certainly in the London and the South East, we never seem to have an issue with that.
Very
But
rarely.
I do think regards to having an HMO above a semi-commercial is definitely an area that we're seeing, because our semi-commercial proposition is the best in class.
I firmly believe this. Of everything we have, as well as the market as a whole, it is truly one of the best products on the market. End of story. I mean, as low as 20% commercial to as high as 60% commercial. I mean, that range alone is ridiculous, right? Most of the market's 60-40 the other way around.
Correct.
Right? They won't go more than 40% commercial. So anytime I always see the inquiry, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like, oh, it's a 50-50 split.
Yep.
I'm like, all right.
That's fine.
That's fine. I'm not too concerned, right?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, what I do see is where it's 51%.
Yes.
Because there are lenders out there that will look at 50-50. However, if it's 1% over on a commercial element, it gets declined.
Correct.
Where with ourselves, that's absolutely fine.
No issues.
Plus, we'll also allow a first-time landlord to take that property.
We can take first-time buyers on it too, which is
insane.
Which is insane.
It is insane.
So first-time buyer, first-time landlord, 75% of open market value, no 180 days, open market value, fees on top. You can have up to 2 commercial units downstairs. Again, no restrictions on what those are. Let's say you have 1 retail shop and a pub, for instance, and then upstairs up to 10 residential units. Let's say one of them's an HMO, one of them's a holiday let, one of them's a standard buy to let. I mean, that is an insanely complex deal, right? And then 100%. To top it off, they have a £4,000 CCJ registered yesterday.
Crazy.
And I can do that without blinking. That's just a part of policy.
It's incredible.
It's written black and white in our policy.
Yeah, I think it's only fair to say that on a first-time landlord, we do have a minimum income.
Yes.
So our minimum income for a first-time landlord is only 15,000.
Right.
But that's across the application, correct?
Correct.
So you could have up to 4 applicants, and that could be stretched over the 15K.
Easily.
If I've got an experienced landlord though, one of our recent changes, experienced landlord with only 1 year's experience, then there's no minimum income.
And it's 1 year's experience on any property. So let's say they're starting to get into HMOs.
Yep.
They got their first buy to let, something high yielding just to see what's going on in the market, right? They're comfortable with it, they're good with it, move into the HMO space, no minimum income required.
Which I think is, again, a game changer.
We will still require it on semi-commercial and commercial, just due to the asset itself, which I think makes sense. I think the rest of the market agrees with us there. But on the BTL side, I mean, especially the experienced landlords, I think it's safe to say they know what they're doing.
Definitely, and I also think it's what the market is happening, what's happening within the market. So we're seeing that diversification regards to landlords' portfolios.
Yep.
Landlords' portfolios are no longer your 2 up, 2 down, rented out, strong. No. Those days are gone. They're putting in HMOs into their portfolio because high yielding, and they're looking to maximise anything from the yield perspective. Hence why they are looking at semi-commercial and commercial offering within that space. I think when we look at our commercial offering, we also sit in that space really, really well, because actually, to your point, we could actually go up to 80% commercial on a semi-commercial.
Yes.
However, if it falls over that 80,
right,
then we can still have it covered within a full commercial offering, which I think is insane. I mean, I can't think of how many inquiries I've had regards to purpose-built student accommodation.
A noticeable amount.
It is insane how many we get of those ilk. And once again, we can look at that.
But because we can do it at 75%. We can do it 75%, and obviously PBSA leases are notorious for being somewhat delayed.
Correct.
Right? Especially if it's a purchase. We can take a vacant possession purchase on commercial, which how many lenders do you know who can do that on a term side? I mean, the list isn't long, right?
100%.
Normally it goes to a bridge, you term it out the second you get a lease, whereas even in those situations, post-completing condition.
Correct, 100%. So one of the great things regards to our proposition when it comes to the semi-commercial and the commercial, the way we value that, on commercial, we'll always value it on 180 days, as you would expect. However, on semi-commercial, if it is standard, we can actually go on OMV.
Which is wild. And 75% of that too.
And you can have a vacant retail unit or in commercial unit within that.
It could be a fully vacant asset. The resi units could be vacant. It could be a completely vacant building, so long as it's not derelict, of course.
Correct.
And no worries there.
Still at 75%.
Still at 75%. Could even be a first-time buyer, first-time landlord.
I genuinely think this is why we are seeing more and more inquiries.
Absolutely.
And since joining, those are the areas that we are truly seeing because of that diversification of the landlord. So we've got it all covered.
100%.
Because if you're buying a standard property, you're coming to us. If you're buying an HMO, you're coming to us. If you want a commercial valuation on an HMO, red book valuation, you're coming to us. If you want a semi-commercial, you're coming to us. And if you've got a commercial inquiry, you're coming to us. I'm not actually sure there's anything else within the space that we don't do.
As the market is getting more diversified inherently, clients have to diversify their portfolios. And so as a lender, it's our job to make sure our criteria can match what landlords want, and what they're seeing is the day-to-day reality, right? So to make that one-stop shop, especially with our obligor exposure all the way up to 7.5 million, and that's just for BTL, then another 7.5 million for commercial. Yeah. So at any one point, a client can have 15 million pounds in exposure with us, right?
It's insane.
I mean,
and that is why more and more are using us. And also, I think from our perspective, the one key aspect I think of MT Finance is that MT Finance listen.
Absolutely.
We listen
Absolutely.
to the feedback. I keep getting it from meeting after meeting after meeting since joining. They give me feedback, I bring it back, and we are able to do stuff with that feedback. It doesn't just go into a pot. So if a broker does have an opinion on what we currently offer, then let us have it.
Yes.
Because once they allow us to see what that offering
Absolutely.
is, we can then see if that can fit within our current proposition. And if we have that flexibility, we'll go to our funders and say this is an avenue we want to go down.
100%.
And hence the recent changes that we've already seen.
100%. Yeah, I think that puts us on a very positive trajectory for 2026.
Yeah, but that's why I see that the broker is coming to us
100%.
right now, because we have all bases covered. So if you do have an inquiry that you're interested in sending to us, then please do that. My name is Nigel at mt-finance.com, and Alex Taylor, alext at mt-finance.com. For all those inquiries, please send them through.